usually your maintenance calories are around 15 calories per pound of body weight. But when you have more than 30 pounds to lose, you want to base it on your goal body weight. So for you, taking 190, multiplying it by 15, right? And so that leaves us with this. So around 28,900, that's around maintenance, I would say. And then you would want to be at around 2,400 calories per day in order to lean down. Like that's a modest deficit. That's not going to make you too hungry, but it's also a good pace for fat loss. And then as far as your protein intake, it's about 0.8 grams per pound of lean body mass. So if we assume that you're going to be very lean at 190, we would just take 190, multiply it by 0.8, and we have 152
Okay, that's grams.
grams per day. Yeah, so 2,400 calories, 150 grams of protein. That's right.
Okay.
And so once you know the target, it is really just about finding like a systematic structure that allows you to hit that every day, right? And so I know tracking is not everyone's favorite thing. So one of the ways to make tracking easier is to keep your diet more consistent, because the more variables you have in your diet in terms of different meals, different foods, that's going to require you to be very meticulous with calorie tracking, because you're never familiar with what you're eating. It's always different things. You're always going to have to pull out the app, track it. But if you set a consistent meal structure, and then you set maybe like 1 or 2 options per meal slot that you usually just stick to, then you can kind of just eat those throughout the week without needing to pull out the app. And you know that you're around the ballpark because you've had those meals so many times that you're so familiar with them. The key is to pick meals that you love. Like I'm sure there are a handful of meals that you love that you could eat every day, no problem, because you love them. The key is to get extremely clear on what those are. Maybe for like 1 or 2 days, track them so you can see what the portion of those should look like. And then you just repeat that. And it's super systematic. The big key is the structure. So like my favorite structure for fat loss is to fast in the morning for about 4 to 5 hours with just water, coffee, to create a calorie buffer so that you have more food to work with later in the day when you actually want to eat food. And then you break the fast with a small meal, something that's just enough to tide you over until dinner. And then dinner, you can enjoy a big, satisfying meal that really hits the spot. And then you can have room for a dessert before bed. The best structure that I've ever found for fat loss. By far.
I like that.
Yeah. Because you go to bed feeling full and satisfied. Whereas like if you try to eat small meals throughout the day, by the time bedtime comes, your willpower reserves are shot. And if you're at your house and you're near the kitchen, you're gonna eat. So like
just plow, right?
That's the thing. Like, and I know throughout the morning you're probably busy anyways. You're probably not thinking about food that much. So don't waste your shorts when you don't need them. Save them for when you actually are gonna want to eat food. So like for you, I would probably do fast 4 to 5 hours in the morning, have about a 500 calorie lunch. So that's like eggs and fruit, yogurt, fruit, really anything that you want. And then that'll take you to dinner. Dinner, you have a big serving of protein, whether it's beef or chicken or salmon or whatever, with maybe some rice, or potatoes or pasta. And that, since you're going to be home for that, I would encourage you to like really track that properly, because that's the time of day when you'll be able to do that. Right. And then you do the dessert afterwards, which could be like a bit of chocolate, some ice cream, something like that. I would encourage you to always keep the first meal and the last meal the same, because if those variables are constant and you know that they are tracked accurately, then the only variable that ever changes is the dinner, which you could have maybe 2 to 3 different dinners that you rotate throughout the week. So that's bulletproof. Like that shit works.
I like that plan. All right. Let's see what I could do to make that happen, so that next time I check in with you, I could give you some good news.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. What can I do to make that easier for you? Would you want me to write it down for you? Would you want me to send it?
Would you? Yeah, send that to me, and obviously I'm not writing or taking any notes right now, but send that to me in an email if you can.
Sure.
And again, it's if it's written down and I could just focus on it and be more clear on it, it helps,
Yeah.
right? And again, you know, the lack of discipline is, you know, when you don't do the things that you should be doing, or you know, whatever reason it is that you're not doing them, you know, it's this weird, you know, kind of downward spiral, because then all of a sudden I'm down on myself, I'm pissed off, I'm like, ah, shit, yeah, you know, I should be doing better, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And like I said, that just spirals south. But
Totally.
you know, having a little more clarity, a
Mhm.
little more focus, I think would help.
Man, the most important thing by far when you want to
Yeah.
lose fat is momentum. Momentum is everything, because as human beings, we're momentum creatures. Like, we respond very well to momentum. And
Yeah.
if you push through the initial phase that's uncomfortable and challenging, momentum takes over, and it's actually much more costly for you to break the momentum than to keep it going. And so you just
Yeah.
want to keep it going. I call it getting locked in. That's what you need. And getting locked in takes about 2 or 3 weeks. You need to be very disciplined for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then
Yeah.
momentum takes over and you no longer need discipline, because you just reach this state of flow where every day, like without even thinking about it, you just do what you need to do. You get your steps, you hit your workouts, you hit your calories, you hit your protein, and it's done. And
Yeah.
like, you just reach, and once you get to that point, man, the fat just flies off. And it's like, you're like, holy shit, this is going quick, you know?
All
But
right.
getting to that point is difficult, because initially when you put yourself in a calorie deficit, you're
Yeah.
going to feel hungry, you're going to feel uncomfortable. It's not going to feel too good. But
Yeah.
push through just long enough, it becomes so easy, man. Like, I promise you that. That's what you
Right.
need, you know? And I also think it would help if we didn't drift apart too much, because if we can keep like a more consistent communication cadence, then I can
Yeah.
make sure you're locked in. Because like, I message you here and there to check in, and I understand, because your schedule, like, you're not always gonna be able to respond. But like, that's a big part of what we're doing here, is like, I'm here to
Yeah.
keep on the guardrail. Like, I'm here to keep you on track, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that, and I appreciate your kindness towards my lack of diligence. But I'll try to be a little more on that. And you're right, you know, because you know, part of it is, and I think you know this probably better than I do, is, you know, I don't want to sit down and have conversations like this. You know, I don't want to say, hey, look, dude,
Yeah.
I'm sucking at this. You know, that's hard. That's hard.
Yeah,
And
it is.
you know, I'm like, well, you know, next week I'll be better. I'll call them then, right? And it's
Yeah.
just not,
I
just
see
not
it all the
happening.
time. I see it
Yeah.
all the time, man. But like, that's what I'm here for. Like, I'm here to help you through that, you know?
All right.
Like, you don't have to worry about like disappointing me at all, you know? At the end of the day, it's like, I'm here to help you through those constraints. My ideal is like, by the end of the time I finish working with people, I want them to feel set up to be able to like continue on and build upon what they've created, you know?
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
we need that consistent communication, because it also helps, man. Because if you tell yourself, I'm gonna talk to Rio, even if it's just like 5-10 minutes every other week, or maybe just once a month, whatever works for you, then you know that you're gonna have to talk to me. And so it gives you a little bit of a kick in the ass, a little bit, where you're like, I know I'm gonna have to talk to him. I don't want to disappoint him, you know?
Yeah. No, no, no. And again, that was, you know, my intention
Yeah.
at the kind of jump in phase was, okay, good. You know, I've got somebody here
Yeah.
monitoring.
Yeah.
That makes it valuable.
If you're still watching this video and you're a business owner, executive, or professional man between 50 and 65 in the US, and you already train, you try to eat well, but you still have a gut you're embarrassed by, and you know this has to change, click the link in my description below and book a call. We'll spend 20 minutes mapping out what's keeping you stuck and whether my one-on-one coaching program is the right fit to fix it.